All right, everyone, now we have to talk about Hillary Clinton. She was talking the other day with the legacy media, of course, and effectively it has been considered, in her words, link in the description, archived, of course, to have ruled out a 2024 presidential run. Now, I think she would be hesitant to run. I don't think the Democrats want her to run. But she is extremely egotistical and entitled, and if she sees any possible opportunity, she will throw her hat in the ring because she's Hillary Clinton. That being said, Fox doesn't do a very good job, again, link in the description, this is Fox analysis. They don't do a very good job of analyzing the context in which she said it's out of the question that she'll run in 2024. It begs the question, it's an insinuation by the media here. The insinuation is, hey, well, Biden's getting up there. He's not doing too well in polling. Will you stab him in the back and screw it in real good, just like you did Vince Foster or Epstein or anyone else who's ever been associated with you that became expendable? Will you throw Biden under the bus and become Madam President, which some legacy media pundits, for some bizarre reason, actually think that's a good idea. I think that it would cause World War III myself, but that's just my opinion. I've happened to have quite a few right opinions about various politicians recently, you may recall. She's only ruling it out in the context, this is effectively ignored in the article, that she's assuming that Biden will run. Right now, she's not going to come out and say, well, if Biden doesn't run, yeah, maybe I'll throw my hat into the ring. Number one, it would be a pre-announcement of the intent to run, if she doesn't want that, and not this early on, because you gotta wait to see how the midterms pan out. They shouldn't even bother asking politicians questions like this until closer to the election anyway. She's not going to do that because she'll get flack from her own party for undercutting Joe. Well, you're being like a Republican. You're counting Joe out. Yeah, his approval is now 4 points below where Trump was in his term, despite facing constant ridicule from the entire establishment. And Biden, of course, he even gets a pass on falling off of his fucking bike from elements of the legacy media that aren't even on the left wing. He's behind Trump, who had previously been the most disapproved of president for much of especially his second year. Before the economy really cooks up, his approval began to rise considerably. With Biden, I don't think we can look forward to that, unfortunately. Yeah, he's suffered his fifth fall of the last year and a half. That's not good. Yeah, he's pushing 80 and would be 82 while campaigning for re-election. By far the oldest. He would make Trump, or Clinton for that matter, basically anyone other than Sanders, look like a spring chicken. Yes, we've got major problems at the border and with crime and with inflation that the Fed is now tackling with measures that could cause stagflation, could cause joblessness to begin moving in a negative direction. In fact, I believe that it already has. Yeah, we've got all these problems, but I think that Joe is doing a good job. That's basically what you have to say in order to rule out a Clinton run. Now, if Biden does not run, and this is the predicate to why she's saying it's out of the question. It's out of the question if he runs, because he has the incumbency and she would handily lose, and she knows that. The incumbent typically gets it. Most of the states would just suspend their primaries. This is why if Trump runs, I believe he becomes the nominee for the GOP, regardless of who runs against him. Some state conventions will simply not hold a primary at all. He starts off the race with 400 or 500 delegates potentially and gets him halfway there. It's overwhelming. And with a lot of the remnant races being proportional, Trump wouldn't even need to get a majority in those states in order to seal the deal. With Biden, he has the same advantage. These people are beginning to sour on the idea of him running, but if he is stubborn, if in the end nobody else appears, who is willing with a wink and a nudge to say, hey, DNC, primary him, let me destroy the shit out of him, and I'll actually win. Because they're looking at the field, and I don't think they're seeing a whole lot of winners absent Biden either. If he chooses to run, he probably becomes the nominee. The predication of my prediction of Biden being less than 50-50 chance of being the Dem nominee is mostly because I think after they get crushed in the midterms, and we have to look at the ratio, of course, to some extent, I think that he faces more pressure to stand down, and I think genuinely he understands, somewhere in his dim mind he realizes he's not really with it anymore, that he can't be the standard bearer of the party. I think Trump, by the way, as an aside, is desperately hoping that Biden's nuts enough to run again. I think that he wants a rematch because Biden will dodder around incoherently. He'll be much older. It'll be hilarious. And Trump is still capable of holding a coherent conversation. He'll be able to run on the I told you so platform more easily if Biden is the one that runs for re-election. With Hillary, if she runs, she has the potential to be nominated. That, by the way, matchup would be funny too. I think Hillary versus Trump 2.0 would be one for the ages. I don't care if she runs, and I think she'd lose as well. But she wants to run. Make no mistake, so does Biden. Biden does intend to run. Trump does intend to run. When a politician tells you, I intend to run, or hey, I'm thinking about it, it means that they want to. But they're carefully looking at the situation unfold with politics and the economy, and they're waiting to make a decision until more data comes in, because their focus group has told them to do so. Hillary Clinton is focus group madam number one. She's not going to jump the gun and look for the Democrats like she's insinuating that they should toss Biden out. Because if he runs, she can't run, or runs and loses, and then she loses a bunch of favors owed. Then she burns more bridges. Then she has the current asterisk administration, should it be reelected, breathing down her neck for disloyalty. And don't undercut the idea that the Bidens are vindictive people too. Just look at Kamala Harris being put in as border czar, a job she's uniquely unqualified for and doesn't want to even do. They've said, hey, that was basically Jill Biden's idea. Jill doesn't like the fact that Joe had to have a female vice president of color because, they're lily white, upper class people, and they're used to, black people as the help. That's what the Bidens are. They evolved from trailer trash to extremely rich trailer trash, and they have bigoted beliefs. He does. Biden is a bigot. Jill Biden probably more than him. She looks like a plantation housewife, which means she'd probably get along with Hillary Clinton. I think that there was pressure from her to choose Hillary Clinton as the running mate. Honestly, I genuinely think that. I don't think that she wanted Kamala. Getting a little bit off track here, but these things are interconnected, of course. Hillary Clinton did not rule out a 2024 run in this statement, if you really pay attention to what is being said and the context of how it's being said. She's ruling out a run if the incumbent chooses to run, and she's operating from the speculation that he will. Or at least, even if she doesn't believe it, and she's intelligent, maybe evil, but intelligent, I think she knows there is a low order of likelihood that Biden is capable of running. But she's not going to pre-announce prior to the midterms any insinuation, because she wants to hold the party together so they don't lose too badly, even though it would benefit her personally if that happens by knocking Biden and Kamala out. She's not going to make any insinuation that'll burn any bridges because she needs that political clout if she does end up running. She can't say jack shit until Biden makes a final binding decision. If his poll numbers continue to fall, and if the midterms go as catastrophically bad as they're predicted to go, we're talking 25 seats as the basic starting off point of gains for the GOP in the House, and probably a couple of Senate seats. If it is that bad or worse, and I lean heavily towards believing the latter is much more likely to be the case, especially at the state and local level, keep in mind all of those tens of thousands of races across the country. It's going to be legendary regardless of what happens. So too, by the way, will the midterm live stream that I'm doing. Getting a co-host aboard, someone who's been requested before. I won't say any more at this time. There's still some planning to do, some final kinks to work out, make sure everything's kosher. Hillary Clinton will run if there's an empty field. Because, she's, who else who's going to run against her? Buttigieg, I think, would be more qualified, but he doesn't have the name recognition. He's basically a non-existent non-entity in the Biden admin. Klobuchar, again, evil, but at least somewhat coherent. I think she's pissed away a lot of her time whining about tech censorship and stuff, the need to regulate tech and crypto. She hasn't done much else in the last couple of years. I don't know that she still has the staying power. Warren might get in. Bloomberg, he's too old. Bernie Sanders is too old. He might be an also-ran, but he'd be doomed. That leaves Biden and Kamala. There's a Dem field. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Hillary Clinton. That's interesting. Where have we seen this before? It's almost like the Democrats don't have any younger new talent and have become the party of the old and the rich. How very interesting. That's about all. Peace out.